Make it 4 wins in a row for the Rangers after a 4-3 overtime win over the Blackhawks in the Windy City on Friday night. However, there may be more questions about who should be the #1 goalie for the Blue Shirts. Joining me to talk some Rangers hockey is the host of the Blue Crew podcast and a host and analyst for the NHL and Daily Faceoff. My guy, Jonny Lazarus, here with me now. Jonny, how you doing, man?
I'm good, Dexter. Always good to be joined by you. Nice Saturday morning here in New York. The weather looks pretty good, so I'm very excited.
Look, I'm happy about this weather. I know people don't generally care about 40-degree days, but we're not dealing with 20-degree days, so I'm absolutely happy with that. But, Jonny, you got to talk about the Rangers, who they've won 4 consecutive, as I mentioned. But on Friday, they needed overtime to beat the lowly Blackhawks. Now, I get that they picked up 2 points, but is this a win that the team should feel good about?
It's not a win the team should feel good about, but you always should feel good about getting 2 points. I mean, that's the hardest thing to do in the NHL, and it's, results business. So, I'm sure the Rangers are happy to come away with that win, but as far as the process of the game goes, they shouldn't be happy with the way they performed. This time of year, you want to build toward the playoffs. You want to feel good about your game, and I don't know if the team really does feel good about this one. You saw the reaction from Mika Zibanejad after he scored the overtime winner. It wasn't really a look of joy. It was more of a look of relief. And you heard Pierre Laviolette's comments after the game. You heard Mika Zibanejad's comments after the game talking about how they weren't happy with their performance. But again, it is a win. It's 2 important points, and they hope to look back on this game a month from now and not remember how they played, but just remember getting the win. So hopefully this does carry them in a positive direction, because they didn't play their best and they still found a way to win a game against a Chicago Blackhawks team that, is not a very good hockey team. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is. As far as Igor Shesterkin goes, he gets a win. That's got to feel good. But hopefully it's something they can put behind them, take the 2 points, and move on to the next game.
Yeah, hopefully it is. You're right. You talk about the reaction you saw of the team in overtime. Wasn't that much of a joyous reaction when Zibanejad found the back of the net and they got the win there. Now, you mentioned Igor Shesterkin. We got to talk about the goalie situation right now. Shesterkin, that was his first game between the pipes in 2 weeks, and he had a 2-goal lead with just over 6 minutes left in regulation. Then he found himself in overtime against Chicago. Jonathan Quick, he's been playing well for the Rangers, as you know, Jonny. Should Shesterkin play on Monday against the Flames, or is Quick starting what's best for this team right now?
Oh, that's a tough question, because I do think Jonathan Quick starting right now is what's best for this team. But I think you have to go with Igor Shesterkin on Monday, because you want to get him going in a good direction. Igor is the #1 guy. It's been the case for years now. Pierre Laviolette was clear that he's, the guy that they're going to rely on going forward here and on a playoff run. If the Rangers win the Stanley Cup, it's going to be on Igor Shesterkin's shoulders. And that's not to take away anything that Jonathan Quick has done. I think Quick has been the better goalie to this point. He's been the more relied upon goalie. And, to be honest, if you ask me right now who I'm more comfortable with in the net, it's Jonathan Quick. But with a out-of-conference game coming up on Monday after Igor won a hockey game, and also the 3 goals that Shesterkin allowed, I don't put any blame on him. The Rangers did a horrible job last night at boxing out around the net. I mean, you look at that second goal that Nick Foligno scored, Eric Gustafsson is just standing still, doesn't even try to battle in front of the net with Foligno. And then the third goal, Dickinson gets a deflection, but Keandre Miller didn't pick up his man. So, on those 2 goals specifically, the Rangers just aren't doing a good job at playing man-to-man in their own zone. And you can't really blame a goalie, no matter who it is in net, whether it's Quick or Shesterkin, on those 2 goals. So I don't put any blame on Shesterkin. And then, to your question about him starting Monday, I think with the team that they're playing against, yes, 2 points are important, but you're not playing against an opponent that, gets 2 points that go toward the Eastern Conference standings. So I think it's a game where you can, take a risk and start Igor Shesterkin again, even if you don't feel more confident with him than you do with Quick. But I think they should go with Igor Shesterkin on Monday.
All right, saying they should go with Igor. We will see if they do that on Monday against the Flames at the Garden. And 4 goals we saw for the Rangers on Friday night. No, it was an overtime win for them. And Mika Zibanejad, he scored for the first time in 8 games. The team has scored 7 goals in the last 2 games. Coming out of the All-Star break, is the Blue Shirts offense trending in the right direction? Because we've seen some struggles, Jonny. Are they trending in the right direction in your eyes, or do you still have concerns about the team's ability to score goals?
I'd say it's trending in the right direction, but I do have a lot of concerns because the power play hasn't looked very good as of late. I think they're 0 for their last 13 or something like that. And, it's actually interesting. I was listening to a good friend of mine's podcast, the Empty Netters podcast, which is a great NHL show, and they were interviewing Bobby Ryan, former NHL player. And Bobby Ryan said it straight up, and I thought it was, very factual, that the Rangers don't really have a lot of hunger or jam around the net. They don't, you don't really see the Rangers kind of, banging home rebounds. I know Brodzinski scored one last night, and Kreider had a tip in at the doorstep off a great play by Adam Fox. But you want to see this team get a little bit hungrier around the net. You want to see them get pucks and bodies to the net. It's a, cliche to get pucks and bodies to the net, but this time of year, it's important, and it matters a lot to, cause chaos on the opposing goalie. And we don't see the Rangers really do that, maybe outside of a guy like Vinny Trocheck, Jimmy Vesey, has been around the net mouth. Will Cooley is one of those guys too, but you want to see them get a little bit hungrier. And they have all the skill in the world. We saw those pretty goals last night that Lafreniere scored, that Kreider scored, and even that overtime winner was a beautiful play by Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad. But you want to see the goals that the Blackhawks scored last night. You want to see a tip in. You want to see a guy outworking the defenseman in front of the net for a beautiful backdoor pass. Like, these are the goals that you want to see the Rangers scoring, is the goals that their opponents are scoring on them. They just get outworked sometimes, and you want to see them outwork the opposition. So I'd like to see them offensively get a little bit hungrier around the crease.
Yeah, we'll see if we can see that as this team heads toward the playoff. Can they be playing a little bit better offensively? We will see. Interesting week coming up for the Rangers. They host the Flames and the Canadiens before the Stadium Series with the Islanders. So that should be an interesting week for the Blue Shirts. That is Jonny Lazarus. He's the host of the Blue Crew podcast and host analyst for NHL and Daily Faceoff. Jonny, always good to talk some hockey with you, especially around the Rangers. We'll talk soon.
You too, Dexter. Have a good weekend.